Now we had this funny thing, this three-item sequence, up to 3-item sequence. Each of these, depending on how many items, has a very particular mode, like it defines a modality. If there are no items, it means that the preimage is requested, but hasn't yet been provided. Okay, that's how it starts. So when you request the preimage, you'll end up with this this mapping. Where are we? After AL, right? It's the bold L part of A. This one here. This will be for that hash and size will be empty. When there is one item in, it's been made available. So someone has put the hash. Someone has provided the preimage for that hash. And the one item is a time, and it's the time since when that preimage has been available. So it's the block at which that preimage was placed on chain. This is important because we need to be in agreement over when we are auditing over when a preimage actually made its way on chain. It's not enough just to say it's on chain now, therefore it was on chain then, because different validators may be auditing at different points in chain history. There's no guarantee that 2 validators are auditing at the same block. So we need some way of knowing when the preimage actually was there. Another way of doing this would be to force a long, like multi-hour long state history for validators to keep state history. But then this would have kind of annoying repercussions. We'd have to say, well, if you want to validate at all, you need to have at least 8 hours of history, and you need to have a client that can move back in time, and you can't do any state pruning, and it all becomes a bit nasty. Whereas if we just store it on chain, then it's relatively easy, and you can even do it from like light clients and things. You can have light client proofs quite easily. Okay, if you have 2 items, it means that it was available, but it's now unavailable, and it's been unavailable since that second time. So it was available from the first time, and it's unavailable since the second time. This is in case when you remove it, but if the audit happens at a time where the thing to be audited happened in the past, I mean, inevitably it will be in the past, usually just a few blocks, but it could be a bit longer. You need to know that if it's become unavailable since the audit happened, that it was available then, and up until when it was available. If there are 3 items, then, as you might imagine, it's like the preimage was available, is available, has been available since some time in the past. Then it wasn't available, but then before then it was available. So it's just like you kind of got this period where it was kind of available and then wasn't available and then is available again. Yeah. We limit it to this. We could go on indefinitely and just have this like indefinite was available, wasn't. And in theory, a service could be a real griefer and just do it every other block. So it's like, I want it now I don't want it, now I want it again. And if we did that, we'd end up storing huge, potentially, hours of, I mean, this will go on into the hundreds, right? We don't want to do that. So we basically just say, once something is unavailable, you can't make it unavailable. You can't make it available and then unavailable again for another day. Basically, you have to wait until this 3 has turned back into a 1, because the previous availability period is so far in the past, it doesn't matter for the purpose of auditing. When it's so far in the past, we actually can forget 2 of the 2 items from the 3, and it sort of turns implicitly into a 1. And when we see that it can turn into a 1, then we allow it to become unavailable again. But we only allow it to be unavailable if it's either a 1 or if it can be turned into a 1 from a 3. And that's it. This is defined fully in the appendix, in the part of the VM host functions that allows requesting and unrequesting pre-images. We need it here because we need to understand the data structure for when someone submits a pre-image to the chain. We need to know that it has indeed been requested but isn't yet available. Okay, with this in place, we can define Lambda. We use Lambda, I think, only off-chain, so it's not actually particularly relevant for us now. But I mean, it's not very difficult either. Basically, we have this utility function I, and it's false if it's been requested but isn't yet available. It becomes true as long as we are after the point that it became available, when there's one item. It becomes true if we are in the availability segment, when it's 2 items, and it becomes true, with the appropriate filter when there are 3 items. And this is just basically about pulling out the right data and feeding it into this. And of course, we can only be guaranteed that we actually have the pre-image when the pre-image appears in the pre-image lookup, the dictionary that stores the pre-images. Okay, good. That's one of the most fiddly bits of state transition, so I'm glad that's out of the way. Most of this stuff is pretty straightforward, but that is something that we would normally write, in a sort of higher level language, but it's kind of unfortunately, it has to be part of the core protocol. So it had to be spec'd. Right, what else have we got?